we are going to have an amazing, well, we do have an amazing guest with us, Miss Carolyn Val-Schmidt, a soprano, a voice teacher, and now under the umbrella of Finding Your Voice. Carolyn is a singer's acting coach and a speaking coach, or speaker coach. Yes. She has appeared at the Metropolitan Opera and been a leading lady in many American opera companies. Sung the Mother Abbess in the national tour of Sound of Music during that was starring Debbie Boone. Now, I would have liked to have done that. Debbie seems like an amazing person. We'll ask you that in a minute. After receiving her master's of music at the University of Illinois, she was at the Juilliard School in the master class of Maria Callas. There was not that many people in that class either, I discovered. Whoa. After she was chair of the voice department of the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music, she was a faculty member at a number of music schools and has given master classes in interpretation at universities around the country. Rave reviews consistently follow her master classes, classical and cabaret appearances. And let me tell you, if you have ever taken a class with her, rave reviews follow her classes to just help you breathe when you're speaking, which I wasn't doing so well during that piece, but that's okay. At least I'm aware that I wasn't, right? Awareness is the number one thing. So, welcome today. And I'm going to let you just say hello and introduce yourself just a little bit. And I'm going to make sure we're really live and everything's going well while you do that.
Well, hello, everybody. It's a delight to be here and a privilege to have Cindy Lou in my life in this capacity and in other capacities too. And I want to thank Shelley Campbell for introducing us. Anyway, it's hard to get me stopping talking once I'm going, and Cindy Lou knows that. But I have a surprise for her that she isn't aware of that we'll play around with today in this session. I'm really glad to be I'm really glad to be here and able to share my thoughts about how important it is that we all are finding our speaking voice. And I started out by saying, find your voice. But first of all, a million people are saying that. And two, I wanted to it's about the speaking voice that I'm helping. And it's not just for speakers, it's for everybody who talks.
Right. If you talk at all,
And
and especially
okay,
like podcasting or going Facebook Live, doing anything online, it's so important to protect your throat from wearing itself out. Like, because you can wear yourself out if you don't breathe correctly when you're speaking.
yes,
Okay. So, just in
I
case
had a,
anyone never met me before, sorry, just in case anyone's watching is brand new to me, my name is Cindy Lou. I'm the founder of beBOLDyou, the creator of the beBOLDyou personality expression system, where you get to figure out who in the heck you were, who you are now, and who you want to become. And so I've written a book called Becoming Bold You, and I'm supposed to have it right here, and I do. And we are sponsored by that today. We'll tell you a little more about that book probably in the middle of this session. So, did you have something else that you wanted to say this morning, or are you good for me to start?
well, that's okay. But you have an announcement, don't you? A happy one?
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. To my podcast listeners, I just want to say thank you. We just went past 20,000 downloads, all-time downloads. We just hit that mile marker, and this is episode 64. So to have 64 episodes and have 20,000 downloads, I am feeling so super blessed and so grateful for everybody that's listening. And hey, if you haven't done a review over on iTunes, you could do that too. All right. So, are we ready to celebrate you now?
I'm ready.
Celebrate you. Okay. So,
You
you
bet.
have listened to some of my podcasts. So, you know that I have these 10 questions that help us to get to know the guest that I go through first.
Okay.
All righty. So, first, what's your favorite color?
Well, that depends on how old I was. When I was a kiddo, it was Kelly Green. And then I think it became gold as I was a young performer. And then it became burgundy when I got more mature. And now I think it's a kind of a dark rose with a bit of fuchsia.
Ooh, I love that. I love that it's progressed with you as you've aged. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
but I still get really turned on by green, especially when I look at, you know, the flora in the world and the
Yes.
trees.
Well, I tell you, the green that you see around us that's in my beBOLDyou actually comes from flora. It's the green in the leaf of a clover, the clover flower. Yep. So it's the purple flowered clovers is where I got the purple from, and the green was I pulled that from, and so it's just straight from nature. And it's like,
Wow.
how could you get a weed, which a lot of people call a weed, right? Those little, they're everywhere. But it just was so beautiful that I
Oh,
grabbed those
yes.
colors out of it. So anyway,
And it
that's where that all
smells so good. And it smells so good too.
mm, true. Okay, so do you consider yourself more of an introvert or an extrovert?
Both. I took a little test about 30 years ago at the end of a book I was reading about, I don't know, different kinds of religious ways of being Christian, I guess. But anyway, at the end, it had one of those INSF. It had 10 questions that you check. I forget what you call that uh, test. But anyway, it turns out that with those 10 questions, I am half introvert and half extrovert. So I really love being by myself and I love being with people.
We're sisters in that one. I am definitely. Some people now call that an ambivert, where you've got to have both. So,
Ambivert.
yeah. So, what energizes you?
Uh, I don't know if joy energizes me or if that's the energy. Feeling feeling connected to the truth within myself, feeling confident, um, feeling joyful. As I've said to you, probably more than once, my favorite thing is sharing something good with somebody else. And so that really turns me on and gives me energy. So I'm energetic this morning, this afternoon, wherever I am.
And what's the most exotic place you've ever visited?
Well, I would say it would be Hawaii. And I got a chance to go there several years ago. And it was fascinating. We were on the Big Island, and there are 13 kinds of temperature environments in the United States, and that Big Island has 11 of them. So we were in a rainforest, and we were on a mountain of lava, and all different kinds of things.
That sounds amazing. And
Yeah.
a little bit, uh, going near lava just doesn't sound like fun to me. What has been your favorite age?
My favorite age.
Hmm.
Well, it's certainly right now because I feel the most alive as a person and the most able to share good stuff. I'm a crone and I'm delighted that I've gotten to this point where I can more clearly and more comfortably and more confidently, maybe even more lovingly, share what I know. Because as my philosophy is that we're all here on earth and to be all that we can be and to help others do the same.
Oh, that's awesome. Are you a book reader?
I am a book reader. However, I haven't been reading much in the last couple months. I
Okay, so
belong
what are you?
to a mystery book club in my library.
Oh, that's fun.
So, yeah, so that was fun. And I certainly learn a lot from my fellow clubbers who talk and help me learn how to what I'm looking for and how to appreciate the books even more.
Yeah, because everybody sees it differently. When you're in those clubs, you find out that we're not all reading the same book. Like we are, but we're not. Right? Because
I guess that's like life.
yeah, yeah.
You
Alrighty.
know,
And
you are
yeah,
frozen to me, just to let you know.
can you hear me though? Okay,
I can hear you fine, darling.
then you're good to go because you're all right on my side. So
Okay.
okay. And what phrase or quote encourages you the most? Did I ask that yet? No, I don't think so.
You didn't ask me that. It's something from Abraham Hicks.
Okay.
Everything is always working out for me.
Oh, that is awesome. Yes. And it's true. If you wait and you're patient and you have that attitude, it does all work out.
And also, before I learned that, it was just basically the golden rule.
Yeah, which is a great one to follow. And do you create to live or live to create? I know, right?
Both.
Yep. I knew that was going to be your answer because it's my answer too. I was
Yes.
like, because there's something in creating that gives you life, and you have the life to be able to create. So it really is cyclical. Um, and name the person who's had the most influence in your life, whether dead or alive.
Well, I can't specifically say one person, but my parents certainly did, and my voice teacher at the University of Illinois really did.
Awesome.
So I would say those three.
Three. Yeah, it's hard to pick one for sure.
Yeah.
And what one word describes you best?
Uh, there may be a different. There's a difference. I would love to be known as loving, um, but that takes a certain kind of energy at the most of the time. Celebratory, maybe.
Oh, I love that word. That's an
I
amazing
I
word.
love to celebrate good things, and sometimes I would send up a riot of joy to a student who's just done some exercise and so much better than before, and they say, "Oh, but all I did was such and such." I said, "Yes, but you're beginning the change. You're starting on this journey. Look at you, how you allowed yourself to to be so vulnerable, and how you were able to gird your brain into thinking a couple things at once, and they fell into place. This is spectacular."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I will never forget the first time that I actually allowed myself to hit my full voice in a voice lesson. I
Which
literally
happens to
jumped.
be beautiful.
I literally jumped. Like it was so powerful and so loud. And it was just so, it was like my full voice is like crazy. And I was like, that just came out of me. Like it was just this. And the teacher did that. She celebrated with me, right? Like she said, no,
Yeah,
that's you. I was like, but it scared me. She's like, that's okay. You'll get used to it.
yeah,
So,
it's kind of an identity crisis.
yeah, later I became a town crier. So, I got to use that big voice.
And our voice is decided by the bones and the cartilage in our head. It's acoustics, the instrument itself. So how we use it is another thing, but the instrument is one thing and the technique is another.
Exactly. So, and I think that was the piece of it, right? I understood that all of that being in there, like I didn't have control over how big my voice was, right? Like that's part of the instrument and how it's built.
Uh-huh.
Is that correct? Or is that wrong?
No, I think that's correct. You
Yeah,
see, that's what a teacher does, is show you how to go actually beyond your boundaries. So then you find out what actually is the most comfortable way for you to proceed as a singer, as a writer, as whatever that feels the most organic to you and the most expanded.
so we're recording this live on Facebook. Just I'm letting my
Okay.
listeners know I'm going to respond to a comment that's here just because I feel like I want to honor Sarah Tregoning is another fellow singer and a fellow friend and business partner and just an amazing person. And she wrote, "Love how creative you are, Cindy Lou Miller. Love that you use natural colors for your business page." I don't think I'd ever told her that story. So she's a photographer also. We're both photographers. And it was a photo that I had that I went like really, really close. And the colors were just stunning. And I was just like, I discovered something new. And I think you're saying that same thing with the voice, is that as we dive in and we go deeper and we really take a look at our voice, we discover there's whole new layers and color and just
Good way.
beauty within us that we haven't seen or heard. So,
Or expected.
or expected, right? Like, I mean, that was, I think that was part of it with me that day. I didn't expect it to be that big because I'd never heard that, come out of me. I was like, what is this? So
You know,
I,
I had a, may I say
yes,
something?
yes.
I had a voice student who came to me, and she was a small bodied person and with a big heart. And she had two little girls. I think they were kind of toddlers. And she said, I want to be able to sing lullabies to them. So I said, well, great. Let's begin and let's see where you are. And so we were playing around with her voice. And then her voice really opened up and it scared her. And she had to stop and she got cheery. And she said, you know, all my life I've been told to be seen and not heard. So to let this voice out. Then I had another student who finally could allow herself to let her voice out. Well, it turns out that she was alone in the house and singing one day, and somebody came in and attacked her. So it was very hard for her to think about letting her voice out. And then I had a rabbi, a young rabbi, who was getting a new position, and he had to be in charge of, at the University of Colorado in Boulder, he was going to be in charge of the student synagogue services, and he had to lead the singing. And at one point in his lesson, he just went and sat down on the floor and leaned against a chair and he said, you know, in sixth grade, my best friend said, I better be quiet. I can't sing. So he found out that he could. And then he sent me a letter and said, wow, how wonderful this is that I can lead the kids.
Yeah.
So
I think most people can sing. They've just been told they can't.
yes, including that vice president of an elementary school where I was, who was told he couldn't, and he had no fondness for the music department.
Oh, dear.
No.
Oh, ah, well. Alrighty. So I would, let me just do my little commercial here for my sponsored book, sponsored by Becoming Bold You. We also have, I'm going to take you off for just a second to see if I
Oh,
can
whoops.
fix
Okay.
that. So, alrighty. And I'm going to bring up this little thing here, which will give you the link where you can get the book. I don't have to hold the book up. I made this fancy little thing. What do you think, peeps? So, for those who are watching this, this is Becoming Bold You, which is a guide to the Be Bold You personality expression system. It walks you through all of the processes of figuring out who you are and figuring out who you want to become, and then gives you some ideas of searching through personality results and all of that to find what resonates with you, because not everything in a result is you. Not everything within there is absolutely who you are. You might start reading a description and realize you're partway through and you're like, that's not me. Well, cross that part of the description off and highlight the parts that are you. That's one exercise that I go through. And I'm writing a workbook right now, which will be coming out in November or December. So we'll be launching it in November. So anyway, I'm going to take that out and I'm going to bring my guest back and say hello, hello in 3, 2, 1, and she's
Three, two, one.
back.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Alrighty. So I would love to talk more about, what it is that you do. Um, we wrote in the description, have you ever lost your voice? Do you feel like you're lacking confidence when you speak? Those are definitely two things that, people struggle with, feeling like they've lost their voice, like they don't have the power, especially if they've been through any kind of abuse. Like that is a normal thing. Um, so I understand from my from my counselor when I was going through counseling from some very traumatic things. She was actually shocked and surprised that I was still singing and on a stage and doing that. But I
She
wasn't
was
singing.
actually what?
Surprised that I was still soloing, I was still singing, because she said most people who go through the kind of trauma that I went through tend to lose their voice as far as they feel like they, shouldn't be there. And I was singing, I sang very off key. I sang very horribly, but the joy of singing was such in me. It brought me such joy that was, I kept doing it, even though I was told I was horrible. I didn't care. I didn't actually hear it. I didn't actually hear that I was horrible. Like, I didn't until later. I listened back to those tapes and I was like, oh my God, that was horrible. I really was. That was like terrible.
So are
So,
you
what would you
talking
do?
about the tapes of when you were singing or the tapes in your head of what people had told you
Oh, no,
that
the
you were
tapes of
horrible?
when I was actually singing. No, I was
Oh,
bad.
okay.
I was off key. I would change keys. I would, oh, yeah, I was bad, bad, bad. And there may be a reason that I do spontaneous song rather than do rehearsed songs because, a spontaneous song, there is no off key. So, this part of the show, my darling, is for you to
Yes.
share what you do.
I ask people to risk, to stretch, to dare to sound strange, to explore what finding their speaking voice means to them. Um, I had a student who was a twin. I guess it was not a Siamese twin. You know, the ones that are exactly the same. Anyway,
Identical.
thank you. And she, it wasn't until her later teens that she finally was able to say, "Look, I'm an individual. I'm not one half of this couple." That was a lot of finding her voice. Um, people people come from a lot of different backgrounds in finding their speaking voice. And first I thought I was just going to be talking with speakers per se. And then I realized as I was listening to my friends and new colleagues that there could be a big difference in how most people speak. And I found that particularly in senior people, more I think senior women than men, but maybe it's because I know more senior women than senior men. Uh, Besides, men have always been given permission to be out and be loud and be strong and be confident, generally. And so when you're not speaking confidently, or when you've just gotten when you've just gotten tired, there are not so many new exciting things in life, and you just kind of come in like a little tortoise, and you just kind of pull in. And when you're pulling in, then you're not using your breath, and you don't even know where your air really comes from or how to use your breath. And then your neck says, well, we got to get something out going out. So I'll help. I'll squeeze. And we have 12 sets of muscles in our necks. So that's
That's
24 muscles to get coordinated and
a lot.
24 muscles, yeah, and 24 muscles to uh, learn what they are and what they don't want to do. Remember, we were talking yesterday about how it's so much more easy to learn a new uh, movement than to let go of an old movement or an old
Yes.
tension. So, so, and 95%, if not more, of what we think and probably what we feel
Oh, you're freezing up a little bit.
So it's really an embedded habit as you start talking like this and you're not using much air and then you get to the point where you're, uh, as one is older, which I can experience now, having gone through 3/4 of a lifetime, or at least of a century, that you think and you look back on things and you have another more perspectives. And as you're thinking, you're more inside and you're not outside as much in life normally. And everything again gets kind of pulled in and kind of even weighted, particularly if you've had a tough life, things get weighted down. So I let people know that there's a lot more there to work with than they realize. And that's really neat. And as Sarah said, it's exciting and it's terrifying to find
Yeah.
your voice
Yeah, she
sometimes.
said, I
So,
get that whole teary, oh my goodness, I can sing thing, laugh out loud. Letting your voice out is an exciting and slightly terrifying experience. And I
and
sure,
why is it terrifying?
that's the
Why is
piece,
it
right?
terrifying?
You have to get down to the what's the terrifying piece. Where did that come from, right? Because that's an emotional thing generally.
Yeah, sure. So
So it's
we're,
terrifying.
as far as I'm concerned, we're either coming from love, which is feeling secure and happy and free and safe, or we're coming from fear. And uh, any resistance is a kind of fear. Even if, somebody tells you, here, drink this medicine, it'll be good. And you say, well, it doesn't look very good to me, and so on. Maybe it'll be terrible when you taste it or something. Anyway, boy, can I get off on a tangent. Um,
That's okay. You're
Fear.
great.
So
Go ahead. Fear.
we're getting speaking, I think. It's, oh my gosh, people will really hear me. And that's why I say what we feel and what we think have value. And we deserve to be really heard.
So
So I
you
think
help
down at the bottom, go ahead.
you both singers and speakers and the everyday Joe.
Yeah, the everyday girl. And I like to work with corporate executives who have to make presentations and want to make a bigger impact and be more comfortable and more interesting. And that's why I talk about the 4 different ways of that compelling speakers use their voice. And this comes from my music background, and it comes from these aspects of music are the pitch, how high and low are our pitch. If we're going to talk exactly on the same tone all the time, then it gets kind of puts people to sleep, I think, and that's the way it goes. And if we talk only in one volume, that really turns people off too. So that's another item. Or if we talk like this all the time, and when you're talking like this, my God, it makes people work to listen to you, so they're not as interested. And the tone of your voice makes an enormous difference, so much so that studies have shown that when we're um, when we're speaking with someone, what they listen to most is the tone of our voice. So
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 true.
that has to do with our
Oh,
resonance, and so it's the tone and also the tempo at which we speak. If we're always talking at one tempo and we're giving information about how we're feeling or how this is a better way to sell our product, then that again it gets really boring. And people, I think, talk like that because they're not aware that they could be different. It's like in America now. My goodness sakes, in the last oh, 30 or 40 years in particular, we have American Idol and we have The Voice and things like that. And most people are thinking, oh, I could never sing like that. They're just really special, almost alien people that can do this. I grew up in a family that sang. After dinner, when we'd have friends over, my dad would sit down at the piano and we'd all stand around the piano and sing all the songs from all the Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals, as well as older songs and so on. So it was a natural thing for me. I just presumed everybody did it. But
oh my
no.
gosh, that is
And
so true, right? We think that everyone has had the life that we have, that they've grown up learning what we've learned, that, you know, we sing easily, so everyone must sing easily, or we speak easily, so everybody must speak easily. We color easily, or draw, or paint, or whatever. It's like when stuff comes to us so easily, we assume it's easy for other people. I think everybody gets a straight A's. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, if
Gosh,
you want to be in the class, why
yeah.
wouldn't you get a straight A? Like, just do the test and get an A. But but no, not everybody does that, right? So,
Well,
but
that's part of
but when you
socialization.
can,
Yeah.
but when you can, you ought to, right? Like what it is that comes to you easily, you ought to. But also, you ought to, not even ought. There's something within you, within every person, that is longing to get out. There's a message. I believe, this is my opinion here. We're going to opinions here. I believe that every single person on the planet has come here with a message to bring and to implant and to plant somewhere in the ground. And it may be in your household as mama taking care of the babies. Like, it doesn't have to be spectacular and wonderful and amazing. But even in doing that, like you said earlier, you've got that mama that wanted to sing lullabies to her baby. That is amazing. That is a great use of singing. Singing does not have to be the wonderful performer that you are and amazing stuff that you did, right? It can be singing to the baby. And both of those bring both people joy, which is
Yes. And this
singing.
is just what your book is about.
Yeah.
Be bold, you. This is just, I love it that you can, the idea of taking a marker and marking the paragraphs that say, yes, this really resonates with me and with who I am. You're helping people to flower also.
Yeah. Yeah. And get rid of the
Bloom.
stigmas of it has to be a certain way.
Yes. Well, yeah. So it's scary if we get out of the box, but it
Yes.
doesn't have to be. Remember when you were a kid and you were riding your bike and you're allowed to go to the stop sign at the end of the corner and then you came back and then later you were able to go around the block and that was a big deal. And then later you were driving over to your friend Susie's house, and that was spectacular. So when we're in certain areas of our life, certain times of our life, it's an adventure. Uh, and that's why it's such a joy to be doing what I'm doing, is because people find out that instead of being scary, it's an adventure to find out more about them and more that there's more to them and that there's um, a freer way of their expressing themselves and a more confident way and a more fun way. Fun is good.
Fun is good. So taking that, I mean, that's really taking it from black and white to Technicolor, right? My husband said this morning I had to put on a splash of red, and I said, "Well, we're talking about Technicolor." I said, "So we'll go with the blue and the maroon and the red." I said, "Okay, fine, I'll do it. It'll work. It'll work well for what we're doing this." It's like, but I've
Speaking,
been known to have lots of color anyway.
so here's something. Here's my surprise for you.
Okay,
Let's play around with you and your speaking voice.
I knew that would be the surprise. I was like,
Well, we do have a simpatico. Okay, so why don't you get something to read, my dear?
get something to read.
Yes, and this
Okay,
is how I work with people, and you're a people too.
I am a people.
Yes, and you're still here in spite of the purple people eater. That was a long time ago.
In spite of the purple people eater. Let me see. I'm looking
Yeah.
for something to read. So in the meantime, you're going to do what? You're going to tell them about what? Breathing,
Okay.
maybe?
All right. So, yes. Well, let me just tell you all about breathing. Listen, first I'll just do the whole spiel here, and that is let's learn about the anatomy of the voice. So, first, let's think about a violin. If you hold up your violin and you draw your bow across the string, what does the string begin to do? Cindy? That's right, it vibrates. And what makes the string vibrate? That's right, the movement of the bow. And third and last question in your violin pop quiz is, where does the sound bounce around? Where does the resonance come from? It comes from inside the wood, the box of the violin. So let's apply it to the voice. What vibrates? Righto, the vocal cords. And where are they? You betcha, somewhere in this throat, huh? Well, do this. That's your tongue, the back of your tongue connected to your larynx, and you're making your larynx bounce around. You can even feel it. Okay, that's your larynx, and that holds your vocal cords. And the average length of your vocal cords is 5/8 of an inch. They're tiny little whippersnappers, and they are open horizontally on top of your larynx. So the question is, what makes them vibrate? And sure, everybody's saying breath, and that's partially correct. And my whole world changed in my teaching when I got an answer from a new student who is a retired psychotherapist. And I asked her that question, what makes the vocal cords vibrate? And she said, air and my intention. Ah, wow, that was a mind blower for me. So I'm going to make two sounds and you make the sound after me. Here's the first sound. Okay, here's the second sound. Ah, go.
Ah,
There you go. So how we think is how we speak. How we think is how we live. How we think is how we love.
how we
So,
think, how we speak.
yeah. So we have to think to speak. Okay. So where does the air come from? And what pipe does it come up from? That's right. The wind, the air comes up from the windpipe, coming up from the lungs. And the lungs are organs in your chest. You know, there was a teacher that told me that she was uh, doing a little respiratory anatomy lesson for her seventh graders. And this little fella was looking at her diagram of where the lungs were, and he said, "You put them so low." And she said, "Well, yes, that's where they are in the body." And he said, "Oh, I thought they were in your throat."
Oh, wow.
So when her when his flute teacher learned about that, she was really relieved to understand what was going on with him. Anyway, so here are your lungs, and they're protected by your rib cage, all your 12 ribs. And the top rib is what we call the collarbone. Anyway, they're all connected to the back of your spine in the back of you, and they come around to the front. And the top 7 are connected to your chest bone. And then you notice that your chest bone splits into a V, and you've got 3 that are connected there, but there's more space for them to move, and they can all move because there's cartilage between the bone and probably some other stuff too that let them be elastic. And then your last 2 ribs come out to just like your waist, and maybe the bottom one does anyway. So they're not connected to anything. So what that means is the lower we go in our rib cage and the lower we go in our lungs, the more we can expand. Well, that's really handy. So then we get to, pardon me, um, then we get to what makes the lungs expand and what happens in it. And Cindy, tell me where we breathe from.
We breathe. What's
All
that?
right. Well, where we normally people say from the diaphragm.
Right, right.
So then I asked them, and
Lower.
how does the diaphragm move? Yeah, back and forth, or up and down. And they think it goes in and out, but it does not, because it is like a rubber floor on at the bottom of your rib cage, and it connects to the back, and it connects all to the edge of your ribs, and then it comes all the way up to the bottom of your chest bone. So it's really dome shaped as opposed to flat. It's dome shaped. And when the ribs open up, pull the diaphragm flat. And the diaphragm then goes down on what? It goes down on your stomach, on your pancreas, on your gallbladder, on your liver, and whatever assorted items you might also have there. Anyway, where do they go? They go out. They go out in the sides. They go out in the back.
I
They
a
go
lot of a lot of
down.
singers,
They go different directions. Everything but up, go down. What do they go down on?
they go down on
What did you say,
intestine,
Carolyn?
intestines, maybe. I
It's
don't know.
funny. I'm not hearing. They
Can
go
you hear
down
me
on your
now?
guts.
Yeah, on your
Now I
guts.
can hear you.
Okay.
They go down on they go down on your guts and your bladder and your intestines and your kidneys and all those things. Where do they go? They go out too, in the sides, some in the back. You could even put your hands on your hips. Just put your hands on your hips and take a deep breath, and you'll see that your hands will expand because those muscles are expanding all those three sets of muscles that you have in your belly area. And they also go down on what is called your pelvic floor. So this is the point. The point is when we take a good breath, all our organs expand, move, and get into a different place. So we're really thinking in terms of breathing from the bottom of our torso. So put your hands on your midriff, which is above your waist, and on your belly. As a matter of fact, put your thumb on your belly button and your hand below that, and blow all your air out, and then take a deep breath. So blow all your air out. So now you're flat. Now inhale and let your lower hand open up, and your belly comes out. You come out in everywhere. So it's really every time we take a good breath, it's a massage for our organs. So imagine swimmers and athletes are all really taking good breaths, and singers are athletes too, and people who speak are too, just not Olympic wise. Okay, so that's what you want to know about your breathing. And the last part, besides what vibrates and what makes the chords vibrate, we basically have two kinds of resonance. There's resonance that is in a hard palate. The hard, that's the roof of your mouth and your teeth. They're hard. And I want you to put your tongue there. And then put your tongue as far back as you can, and you'll notice that the roof of your mouth goes up. And that's your soft palate. And being soft, it can go up. So it gives us a different kind of resonance.
You're freezing. You're freezing up. You're
Lone Ranger
freezing up.
or Batman. And yeah, there was a comic character too. I can't remember. Anyway, and this is where they wore their mask. This is called mask resonance, and it's this is the trumpet of your voice. Remember when you sing in the shower and you sound so glorious, and when you get out of the shower and you sing the same song, the sound just all dissipates, and because you're not singing hard dials, which are the acoustics of it, you're changing it to a different where it gets all spread out because raw are also it's not bouncing do with acoustics or acoustic to
Okay,
do with
so we,
singing. Anyway, we use the mask to carry, and we also use the head resonance up here. And if we really used all the head resonance, we would talk just like this. And that's very nice, but it sounds a little inauthentic and maybe tense. So we use a combination of the mask resonance and the head resonance. And I like to think of it as the mask is red and the head resonance is blue. And the higher and lower we go, the different kind of purples we have.
That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
all about purple.
So
I'm
that we
all
sound like
about
one
purple.
voice when we're singing. That's right. Okay, my purple girl. That's the end
Okay.
of that Untitled lecture. Let's uh let's talk about you. You found something to read, so would you please read something? A couple sentences.
Please read. Okay. Couple of sentences. You're processing and perceiving. I thought, talk about this since we talked about that a little. I am sure that you've heard the mind body spirit definition. You have a mind for thinking, inhabit a body for moving, and the soul spirit for perceiving and feeling. Evidence of what you think, worked out in action through our body, because our soul reacts emotionally with sadness felt by the heart, comes a manifestation of tears because we perceive something as sad. Do you want me to keep going? Are you frozen? You look frozen, my darling. I'm going to take you off the screen for a minute and then bring you back on. I think she froze. Show in stream. See if that brings her back.
Network connection.
Uh,
Resume broadcasting.
there we
Okay, I'm
go. I
back.
think you're back. I'm back. You're back. Did you hear me?
Okay. My internet connection is restored. Okay, my dear. I'm back. Yes.
Oh,
Uh
hold
let's
on.
talk about
I don't know where you
okay.
are.
I'd love to be able to see you moving.
Yeah, I'm not seeing you here
Oh,
at
you don't know
all.
where I thought you sent me away.
I did not. Interesting.
Hmm, your
Uh,
camera and sources will appear here. Yeah. Well,
you
this
have to
becomes more
reconnect.
podcasty as we go along.
It does become more podcasty as we go along. And I have
Do I have
no
to go
idea
out
if
and
it's
come back
being.
in?
Yeah, why don't you go out and come back in? And I will talk to the people
Okay.
for a moment. Yes, go out and
Okay.
come back in. I am not sure what's happening. So while she is gone away and coming back, I'm going to let you know that she does do the singer's acting coach. So Carolyn does have a whole page about what she does to help singers with their acting careers. So that is one of the things that you can do because as a singer, sometimes we don't remember that we're acting, right? And so that is one of the things that she does. And let me take that off now and pop up the other one, which I'll pop up again at the end. She has the Finding Your Speaking Voice page that you can go to and you can check that out. And that one is at, for the listeners, beBOLDyou.com/finding your speaking voice. Okay, and just spell that right out. beBOLDyou.com/finding your speaking voice. And that will be for the listeners. Now, let me see if I have her back again. Looks like I'm not sure her camera's on yet. Oh, we got a lovely purple background here, waiting for her camera to come on. And if it is not on and she can hear me, then she can try refreshing her screen. Now, I don't know if she knows how to refresh her screen. I'm going to try refreshing my screen. So, for those who are on Facebook, listening, watching, hold on. We'll be right back. Just hold on. Da, 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 da. I'm back, but I don't see Carolyn yet. So, here she comes. Here she comes. Seeing if her camera's picking back up again. I'm not sure. We may have to do a part two to finish this off. I will edit this on the podcast. For those watching live, it really is live. We truly, truly are live. Alrighty. I don't think there's a way for me to pause this. It would be really cool if we could just pause it. So what I might do is put up a wee photo. I'm going to add an item here and say technical difficulties. Be right back. Okay. There we go. Put that up. Oh, oh. Ha!
Hi.
Just when I put up the technical difficulty sign,
Ta-da!
you arrived. Ta-da! That's the joy of life, people. You never know. Okay,
You
so
betcha.
did you hear me reading? I probably need to
Oh,
read
yes.
it again anyway.
I heard you reading the first part. And one of the things I noticed is that when you get to the end of a sentence, you drop the last word. So particularly, that's not helpful if you are uh, going on to say another sentence. So if you're going to go on and say another sentence, then it sounds like you keep starting over every time you're talking wrong. And it doesn't lead on to the next, because every time we talk, as far as I'm concerned, we're telling a story. And so we're always moving forward, just as music does in a song. So speak it to me again, please.
Speak it to me again, she says. Okay. Hold on. Big breath. I'm sure that you have heard the mind body spirit definition. You have a mind for thinking, inhabit a body for moving, and the soul, spirit for perceiving and feeling. Evidence of what you think, worked out in action through our body, because our soul reacts emotionally with sadness felt by the heart, comes a manifestation of tears, because we perceive something as sad.
Okay, good. Well, you're certainly conscious of wanting to use your breath. I noticed that you took a breath and then you waited. So that gave you a chance to
I
get
took a second breath.
tight and be kind of holding it instead of just taking a breath and speaking on the breath. Okay, so that's something to think about. Another thing is uh, we want to use air on every one of our notes. So words, and remember that air, breath, is the wind beneath our words. So all of our words, as opposed to speaking and saying all of our words are important. And that's, so we want to have air on all, even the little short words, the prepositions and things like that, and articles. So read that again, please. Okay.
I am
Oh, and
sure.
one other thing. You're talking kind of high here in a higher pitch. I wonder if you could talk on a little bit of a lower pitch and let your throat relax a little bit more, okay? You're not performing here. You're just being a little earnest student. Your job is not to get it right. Your job is to follow directions and take what you get. Okay.
Seems like I was saying that to you yesterday.
Ah, yes. Teacher and student.
No, too
Yeah.
fun. I am sure you have heard the mind body spirit definition. You have a mind for thinking, inhabit a body for moving, and the soul spirit for perceiving and feeling. Evidence
Okay,
of what
stop. You. Ooh. Okay. And perceiving and feeling, right? That came from there. So would you just say of perceiving and feeling and just let it flow?
of perceiving and feeling.
All right. Now, what I still heard was perceiving and here. Okay. So what if you didn't make a glottal attack? What if you didn't grab before you said the word and, which begins with a vowel, which takes a little bit more air to get going, which begins, oh, geez, I forgot the term, something and feeling, something as opposed to something and feeling.
Perceiving and
You
feeling.
get my point? Perceiving
Not
and
sure I
feeling.
do, but perceiving and feeling. Perceiving and feeling.
There you go. Good. Now, what if we did this? Perceiving and feeling on the same
Per-
pitch.
perceiving and feeling.
You're going perceiving and feeling.
I know. I don't know why I do that. Perceiving and feeling. Perceiving and feeling. Perceiving and feeling. Perceiving and feeling. I'm perceiving that she's frozen again. I'm perceiving that she is definitely frozen again and gone. Poof, gone.
Well,
Oh, you can
perceiving
still be
again.
heard though, I
Okay.
think.
Now, would you say that the
So
oh,
sometimes
can you
when we're
hear me?
doing that, off
Can
and
you hear me,
on,
my friend?
you're,
You
I
cannot hear me?
can. I have no idea if other people can hear you though. Can you guys hear her, or can you only hear me? Can you hear Carolyn and me, or only Carolyn? I don't know if
And while
anybody's
we're
here
doing
to
that,
answer our question. Yes.
okay, somebody let us know. Okay. Um, Another thing is, well, you're frozen, but you can hear me.
Yeah. I think it's your
We have
wonky internet. She says
yes.
that she can hear us both, so we'll just keep going,
Okay.
and it
Okay.
will be
Good.
more podcasty than ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, wouldn't you say that the first sentence is an introductory and almost a tease? It's leading you to what you're to the second sentence of your paragraph.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So let us know that there's more after the end of the first sentence. It kind of sounds like you just stop and then you're starting a new idea. You're leading us into it's the introduction to the second sentence. Try it again.
So I'm sure you have heard the mind body spirit definition. You have a mind for thinking, inhabit a body for moving, and the soul spirit for perceiving and feeling. Evidence of what
That's
you think.
better. Okay, that's all we're going to talk about. That's all we're going to say right now. Perceiving and feeling. And the and feeling came from your throat. More the feeling than the and. The and was pretty good. But still, you have what is the first sentence again?
Well, the first sentence is I am sure you have heard the mind body spirit definition. That's the first sentence. Then the second
Okay.
sentence is
Oh, see, that was wonderful. The definition. Because the way you said definition, I knew you were going to go on and tell me what the definition was. But when you say definition, it sounds like you're bored or something, or you're tired of telling it again or whatever. Okay?
and it's
So say that sentence and let us know more is coming.
boring
And
old
also,
information.
let me remind you that I'd like you to speak on a lower pitch just out of curiosity, okay?
Okay. I am sure you have heard the mind body spirit definition. You have a mind for thinking, inhabit a body for moving, and the soul spirit for perceiving and feeling.
Hey, good for you. Now, can you say all that? Let's see. Say your first three words.
I am sure.
Oh, suddenly you're down on a lower pitch now. I, I, I am sure. Sing that. I am sure.
I am sure.
Okay, now let's sing it on a lower pitch. I am sure.
I am sure.
Good. You don't have to work so hard to do that. I am sure.
I am sure.
Oh, that's neat. Now, would you speak down on that pitch when you talk, please?
I am sure you have heard the mind body spirit definition. You have a mind for thinking, inhabit a body for moving, and the soul spirit for perceiving and feeling. Evidence of what you
How does
think.
that feel?
I'm different because I don't usually speak down there. Different.
Go on. Go on.
Evidence of what you think worked out in action through our body because our souls react emotionally. With sadness felt by the heart comes a manifestation of tears because we perceive something as sad.
Okay, good. Now, when you're speaking on that lower pitch, I noticed two things in particular. One is when you lower the word at the end of the sentence, it's really low, and so it sticks out even more. But two, when you're speaking at that pitch, rather than up here, I think you're used to speaking up here, obviously. but it doesn't feel as authentic to me. It doesn't sound as authentic to me as when you speak here. So I'd love for you to play around with talking on different pitches, and you can even go to your piano or your guitar or whatever and check and try different pitches to see what uh, feels actually the true you
Mm,
and will be the most efficient and the easiest to speak. It will be different and it will feel weird at first, but it also, sometimes when we find that we're home, it's a new home to us, say, and it feels weird, but we know this is the place to be.
mm, interesting.
So I would suggest you play around with that.
All right, I will play around with that.
And it isn't like you're a person and in your earnestness, you are not just sending it out there. So that's great.
Awesome. I didn't catch all that because it kept freezing up. I think your internet is
So I'm talking
having.
and I wonder if you're talking too. I wonder if, so
Yeah, there was a little bit of
what?
you were freezing up. We couldn't hear you because you were freezing up, so we didn't hear all of that last explanation. But
I
I
wasn't
think
saying
what we
anything terribly important.
I don't know about that. You never know. It might be really important to some person out there. There could be a person who needs to hear exactly what you had said. Anyway,
Either I'm being heard or you're
I
being heard or somebody's being heard. So thank you for
somebody's being
hmm,
heard.
th-
Ah! So for
thank
those
you for
who
being
are
my guinea pig.
listening live, you're welcome. And hang in there right now for a minute. I'm just going to say goodbye to the folks on Facebook and YouTube, and then
Okay.
I think you and I might have a little quick session in Zoom and record that,
Yes.
and then I'm going to probably piece them together. So thank you so much for watching live. I hope that this was helpful to you. Let us know if you have any questions. Definitely check out Carolyn at finding your voice, beBOLDyou.com/, finding your speaking voice, and that will take you to Carolyn's website, to her speakers page, speakers coaching page. So, and I did put that up earlier. I'm going to pop it up real quick right now so that you can see it again. The finding your speaking voice, because she will help you find your speaking voice, and it may be a lower voice than you're used to, like mine, maybe lower. I don't know. We'll see. I definitely want to work with her on that a little bit more, because when I go to that lower register, my throat hurts. So I have a feeling there's something in there that I probably need to uncover. So I will talk with her a little more about that, and that will be on the podcast. And you can download the podcast later and hear that part of this conversation. Alrighty. Thanks so much for being with me, Carolyn. Can you say goodbye to the people?
Goodbye,
Are you still here?
everyone. Thank you for listening.
All right. Ciao. And remember to always live your life out loud and be bold you.